Today on the Surviving the Human Experience podcast, we have another informative episode for our listeners. We're excited to welcome back philgeorge to the show. Phil is a Phil is a clinical biochemist, certified personal trainer, health coach, and lecturer. He has his own radio show on Wellness Wave Radio as well as on Dreamvisions 7. So we are, buddies from all of those areas, and he conducts seminars that are focused on health and wellness. He actively has his health coalition going where he's working with practitioners up in the New England area and beyond. So welcome back to the show, Phil.
Great to be here. It's always fun with us, Kristen, right?
It is. We always have a good time, good conversation. You always ask me questions, and I'm like, I don't know, Phil, tell us the answer. You always catch me off guard. I love it.
Well, you're gonna love this one, Kristen. This is an actual seminar I've given. And by
Okay.
seminars, I work a little bit differently. So you remember that game show Trivial Pursuit?
Yes.
Okay. So I run it like Trivial Pursuit, the health and wellness edition. So what I do is I go around to the audience and I have very specific questions.
Mhm.
And the people that answer the question, right, they get a gold, a gold coin. And
Okay.
whoever gets the most gold coins, we have a prize wall. I get to pick from like the old arcade days,
Yes.
with
Yes.
with your boyfriend, knock over, and you win a big teddy bear, and you walk around the
Yes.
teddy bear.
Uh-huh.
Same idea. So this is the actual presentation I've given. I've given at a Greendale Y recently. And no, actually, this is the one I gave at the Worcester Senior Center. We had over 150 people there, so it was
Wow.
recorded and broadcast actually on our cable TV. Worcester is the second largest city in Massachusetts, so
Uh-huh.
it went all over the place. So, and in fact, if anybody's interested, I can send it. So we this is based on the actual seminar I've given.
Oh, exciting. All right, awesome. Well, for our listeners, we're talking about heart health today with Phil. So he is going to give us all kinds of information, good tips, tools, techniques, and just walk us through. So let's get started, Phil. Go
Yeah.
ahead. I'm
So
going to
we
let you take it away.
in the beginning, what I do when I run the seminars, people are walking in. So I
Mhm.
like to give them a slide, something just to look at. You know what I mean?
Okay.
In terms of give them get the wheels turning, right, Kristen? Get the wheels turning
Yes.
in the head. So obviously, your what you eat is one of the most important things. And again, this is just me. We kind of Kristen kind of covered it. I just do this as part of the site. I have a TV show too. I'm on YouTube. The health disclaimer, especially for this one, Kristen. This is a big one. Uh,
Okay.
this is for informational purposes only. Should not be taken as medical advice. Always seek the guidance of your medical professional. Because medical heresy warning. The stuff you're hearing here, you haven't heard from other people. In fact, most people will disagree with this. But again, I'm a biochemist. I want to know mechanism of action. Why things happen. In other words, as opposed to as a pill for it or everything else. So the presentation is again, it's very controversial, um, and these are ideas that most doctors would consider controversial. And I'm going to explain, why this is. This is interesting. So it says basically, medicine advances one funeral at a time, Kristen, because what happens is
Mm.
people they're stuck in their ways and they don't like to change. And science is very slow to accept new things. So they want double blind placebo trials. But Kristen, those things cost millions and millions of dollars to do. So
Yeah.
you know what? The broccoli industry is not going to spend millions of dollars to see a broccoli's healthy for you. Yeah, they're just not going to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
what you hear from mainstream, medicine or allopathic medicine is that there's no double blind placebo trial behind this, so we don't know. But I mean, we have anecdotal evidence that obviously certain things are good for you. So this is going to be cutting edge science. And again, modern medicine is significantly lags behind the latest research. I'm a researcher. This is what I do. I get up every morning. I look at the latest research. So Kristen, is actually a 10 to 20-year gap before they actually come up with new information. So
Wow.
what they're learning in medical school is basically is far behind what's actually coming out. So this
Mhm.
is cutting edge stuff. Um,
That's so concerning, Phil, because if we're, 10 to 20 years backwards, that's not helping our clients as of today, right? Because we're looking at old information and old research. So that can be really troubling if you have some sort of health crisis or health issue occurring and you're going into the doctors. They may not know. They may not be looking at what's happening in the latest and greatest if we're looking backwards, which is kind of concerning.
right. The other I like to call it now with allopathic medicine, Western medicine, they like to call it diagnose and adios. Get
Mm-hmm.
you in, get you out. They have a playbook, what's called standard of care they have to go by. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, what's interesting, Kristen, you remember from the TV shows, these doctors walking around in the big, long white lab coats, right?
Yeah, I've been back on my Grey's Anatomy Netflix marathon right now. So I'm all in the Grey's Anatomy white coat space.
And they got those little big white pockets right down.
Yes.
Okay, you
Yes.
know what they give the medical students when they give them the white lab coat? They have something in from Pfizer. It's a little pamphlet. You look up the illness, and it gives you the drug next to it. You
Okay.
know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's what they're looking at. So when they come to see you, it's either going to be a drug or it's going to be a surgery. Okay. They
Mhm.
don't have time to sit down with you anymore, Kristen, and say, you know what? What are you eating? Are you stressed? Are your kids stressing you out? What's going
Mhm.
on here? It's like this is what they're gonna diagnose and adios. Here's your disease. Here's here's basically the drug for the disease.
Mhm.
Whereas, like you and I do, we're medical scientists, we're medical detectives, Kristen. We're trying to figure out what's the cause of the problem.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay,
root cause.
I like to use this example, Kristen. So let's say you're walking along, and you got your socks on. You're not wearing your shoes in the house, and all of a sudden you don't realize that you step on a tack, right? It's into
Oh,
your foot. You don't realize
yes,
it. You don't think about it. You put your
right.
shoes on. Keeps bothering you, right? You go to see the doctor. You say, Doc, I got this stinging in my foot. I don't know what it is. Looks at it, he goes, oh, okay. Here's some antibiotics. Here's some drugs. Go home, call me in the morning. They're not looking at your foot. No.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're just making a quick judgment call.
Yeah. So in other words, they don't have time to really look into what's the what's the root cause of it.
Right.
A good example is this goes back. One of my favorite courses in college, Kristen, was something called the history of science or the history of medicine. And there's a very famous example, and this guy's name was Semmelweis. And Semmelweis, what happened is he was a curious guy, and he looked around and he figured out that when women went in for childbirth on the normal clinics in England, they had a much higher infection rate and death rate than the women that were seeing basically nurse practitioners and stuff, and he
Okay.
couldn't figure out why. Then he looked at, and so the doctors were coming and they were doing autopsies on dead people, and they were going in delivering babies and they never were washing their hands.
Mhm.
This was before they realized germs even existed. So he said, well, why don't we try it where we wash our hands first and then do it? They
Okay.
ridiculed him. So let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. You believe in these little tiny things that we can't see that are causing these problems. Are you crazy? They ridiculed him. They pulled his license, and actually he died in an insane asylum, Kristen, because they just said this is crazy.
Oh
So
my
again,
gosh.
these are the type of things. I got a trivia question for you, Kristen. Do you know why what caused George Washington's death?
Don't.
They bled him to death. Remember, they used to bleed people at
Oh,
one
yes,
time.
bloodletting. Yep. Yep.
Bloodletting. So
Yes.
these are all things that was standard of care, Kristen. They were standard of care at that time, and then they found out later on that I can give you dozens and dozens and dozens of examples where this was taken as gospel by the medical community, and later on they found out it was totally wrong.
My goodness. All right.
Again,
Walk us
talked about
through.
okay. Again, it's the pill versus the process. So what they're
Hmm.
doing is they're going to take a pill for everything. They're not looking at what's causing the problem.
Well, for that pill, there's another pill, and then there's another pill, right? Because I have watched it time and time again where the the prescription may be handling one situation, but then there's all these side effects that happen, and then you need another pill to counteract those side effects. So, again, we're not hating on medicine. There's absolutely a reason for it, and we understand it. We're just having a discussion.
Right, exactly. But
Uh-huh.
so the other thing is you'll see people now, the average person. So Kristen, I'm going on 80 years old right now, and when I
Okay.
go see a doctor for anything, they're shocked. I'm on zero meds, zero,
Mm-hmm.
none.
Mm-hmm.
They can't believe it. The
Mm-hmm.
average person, I don't know, they have these multiple pill things. They get the morning pills, they get the evening pills, they get the pills for
Yes.
the pills. I had somebody on my show a couple of times. She's a pharmacist. Her name is Dr. Donna Bartlett. She wrote a book called MedStrong. I like to call her the anti-pharmacist. And
Mm.
what she says is that again, she calls it polypharmacy, Kristen. So you're on so many different drugs. What I do is when I have a client and they're having a lot of drugs, what I'll do is I'll refer them over to her. She looks at all of their drugs. Because Kristen, think about this. If you're a gastroenterologist, you're dealing with the gut. If you're a
Mm-hmm.
dermatologist, you're dealing with the skin. So
Mm-hmm.
stuff for your skin has nothing to do with stuff for your gut. So they're very specialized. So a
Right.
lot of times, the other thing that they find out that once a doctor puts you on a med, no doctor wants to take you off the med because
Mm-hmm.
they can have liability. If something goes wrong. So this isn't my
Absolutely.
wheelhouse. So you put it, I'm not touching it. That's why all these people are getting all of these different drugs and they
Mm-hmm.
never take you off it. They just add more drugs, like you're saying, to counteract the side effects.
Yes, and something you pointed out, Phil, that I think is worth mentioning is you've got specialists and they're specializing in their one area, yet your body's connected. Every
Right.
single thing you do in your body impacts something else. So, the dermatologist may give you a medication for something to do with your skin, but it could completely mess up your gut health or completely mess up, something else in your body. But nobody's talking to each other. It's so rare to have all the doctors get in the room and say, let's look at this person as a whole. Instead, they're looking at bits and pieces, and that's where things can get a little bit concerning and go rogue.
Right. The other thing is a lot of people have taken antibiotics, and antibiotics, what they do is it's basically it wipes out all of your gut bacteria. And then you come out with something
Yes.
called dysbiosis. Means your
Yes.
guts don't work. So you got to get
Uh-huh.
probiotics to get it repopulated. But again,
Hmm.
they don't look at that.
Right.
So I had one client, and again she was on a whole dose of antibiotics,
Hmm.
and she was having a lot of gut issues after that. So we had to repopulate the gut.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that because not only did she need those things, but she needed quality ones,
Right.
right? Not just go and grab it off somebody's shelf or order it offline from some, location you're not familiar with. It's the quality of it. So you can just do just as much damage by getting a subpar quality supplement as you could not taking it. So
Okay, Kristen. So are you ready for the games to begin?
not really, Phil. You always get me on these questions. Oh my gosh. I feel like I
So,
need like a
oh, okay.
lifeline.
Can you see my mouse running around here on the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So this is a picture for me. That's me right there, Kristen. You see me there, sitting there?
Oh my gosh, you're my game show host. I love that.
Okay, here we go, Kristen. Here we go.
Yeah.
Kristen, first question. What's the definition of insanity?
Oh, Susan Powder helped us with that one. She told us it's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different
Okay,
result.
you win a gold coin, Kristen.
Finally got something right when you asked me a question.
Okay, this obviously is exactly what you said. You ready for the second one? Kristen, very few people get this next one right. So let's
Oh,
gonna
thank
put you gonna
goodness.
put you on there. Who said it?
What the definition of insanity?
Who
It
said
was
it?
it was Susan Powder that came out with that.
No.
No?
Ready? Albert Einstein
Oh.
said it. She's just quoting him.
Oh. Sorry, Susan. You stole it from Einstein. Okay, I can see that. That makes sense.
Yeah, very few people actually get. I don't think anybody in all the seminars I've given has actually gotten that one right. Okay, and another one for you. Where does the U.S. rank in terms of healthcare?
The bottom.
Sure.
I'm not
And
sure
what is
what
it?
number we
Yeah,
are,
that's
but we are
right. And
quite close to the bottom.
it is at the bottom. And what does it rank in terms of how much it costs for healthcare?
Oh my gosh. I think we probably have the highest healthcare
Yeah, you're
costs.
right. So we pay the most for the worst. Okay. So going back to the definition of insanity,
Mm-hmm.
listening to these people that are telling you the stuff, and you're looking for an outcome.
Right.
So what happens, Kristen, if if I'm running a business
Mhm.
and the people are coming in, and I'm funding that business, and I'm not making any money, and everybody coming to my business is getting worse.
Mhm.
I don't know about you, Kristen. I don't think I'd want to stay with that. I'd want to go on it and work with something else. So,
Yeah, change the business model.
but it and what percentage of Americans are metabolically unhealthy?
I'm gonna take a wild guess here. Probably 80%.
Not 93%.
Wow.
They have either high blood pressure, they're overweight, they're this, and this. And this did not occur back in the 50s and 60s, right?
Right.
Everybody was healthy, they were relatively thin. So we've been really, in my opinion, Kristen, been sold the bill of goods. Do this, do that. We've done what the FDA and the governments told us to do, and all of the
Mhm.
people told us to do, but we've gotten sicker and we've gotten poorer
Mhm.
by following this advice.
Mhm.
Okay, so people most know this. Arteriosclerosis is the number one killer in terms of heart disease. So you want to know what causes that? Okay, Kristen, what's the conventional thought? What will most doctors are going to tell you what causes heart disease?
I'm guessing they're gonna say your food, your
Yeah. Okay.
nutrition,
Let's
or age. Oh, genetics, genetics.
no. Okay. Let me get more specific. What particular molecule or molecules in your body, like they do lab tests on? What do they always
Hmm.
tell you is too high when you
Your
go
blood
when
pressure, your blood
no
pressure,
close no
cholesterol.
yeah you got it
Okay, I
cholesterol
was
right
getting there.
cholesterol. Okay, so specifically, remember they call LDL the bad cholesterol. Remember
Hmm.
LDL the bad. So you hear your LDL is high. When they tell you your LDL is high, then Kristen, what do they want to give you?
Oh, they're giving you the meds. They're definitely giving you, yeah, they're
The
giving you the
statin, right?
cholesterol meds, the
We're going
statins.
to give you the
Hmm.
statin. We're going to give you the
Yeah,
statin. Everybody's going to be on a statin. Well,
absolutely.
here's an interesting statistic. So, and this is actually done by I think the CDC. So what they found that 75% of patients hospitalized for heart disease, their LDL levels were considered normal. So 75% uh, that had high levels considered, they had a heart attack, their LDL was considered normal, and about half were considered ideal. So that tells you the LDL is not causing the problem because people that have normal. So, Kristen, so your doctor, I want you to identify as Dr. Kristen. Okay, can you
Hmm.
do that?
Hmm. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, so Dr. Kristen, I'm taking the statin. My LDL is perfect, and I'm having a heart attack. What happened?
More than likely, you're not living a healthy lifestyle. You probably don't get enough movement. You probably don't have the right nutritional intake. And you've done years of abuse to your body. And so your arteries have just kind of, it's almost like, if you were to not brush your teeth every single day, right? And you just let the plaque keep building up and building up, it's the same exact thing.
So LDL is not the problem.
No.
So this is what it looks like, Kristen. The analogy I like to make is supposing you got a sink in your house, right? And you turn the
Hmm.
sink on, and the
Hmm.
water's coming fine.
Hmm.
Month at 2 months, all of a sudden it's getting lower and lower in terms of you're getting less and less water pressure, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So if you have a plumber, you probably have like calcification in the pipes, right? You get
Right.
calcium, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So you
Hmm.
get a nice normal artery. You can see inside the artery is something called endothelial cells. That's a lining of the cells,
Hmm.
and the calcification gets built in there, okay, and you get smaller and smaller, and you have something called your carotid arteries, all right, you hear,
Hmm.
Kristen. and all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden, and they say actually the first symptom of a stroke or a heart attack is you're having a you're going to die, or you're going to have a stroke because it's
Mm-hmm.
clogged up. There's no warning signs here, Kristen. You can have
Mm-hmm.
something called a carotid ultrasound done, which is easy to do. They put a little thing, listen to it, they can see on the screen, and that's something everybody should have done, because the first sign you're going to have, you've got problems, it's already clogged up, right? just
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
just like this just like your sink, right?
Sure.
Okay, first of all, LDL is not cholesterol. It's what they call a lipoprotein. I'll get into that in a second. So what it is, it's a transport mechanism. So Kristen, it's like a boat. It's going into your all through your blood. So what happens is the LDL carries cholesterol and nutrients all over your body. So it's not actually cholesterol. So when it says over here, the LDL is the boat that delivers cholesterol to your body cells. So, Kristen, I don't know if this is on there or not. What do you think most of your brain is made up of?
Water.
No,
Neurons.
you're close. It's made up of fat.
Oh,
You know.
yes, yes, it is. That's why we need the EHA and the DHA
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
all the
You got it.
things. Yes, yes,
So,
yes.
Kristen, the next time I call you a fathead, say thank you. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I wasn't with that first answer. Yes.
So this is what it is. Lipoprotein. There's LDL and HDL. I'll get the HDL in a second.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big boat, and it stores, and it goes all over to all of your cells, goes to your brain, goes everywhere. It drops off the cholesterol, because cholesterol builds up. It's in all of your neurons. It's everywhere. You need cholesterol. If you didn't make cholesterol, you'd be dead. But it has vitamins. It does everything. So it's all on board. All on board of this LDL, this lipoprotein.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's where we go. Here's where we get into the minutia. Okay. So there are different sizes of the LDL particles. There's the big fluffy particles, mid-size, and then the small. This is what they call the bad cholesterol. It's small. So let me give you an example. Let's just say that I've got a baseball small, right? And I got a big Nerf ball, and I
Mm-hmm.
throw a Nerf ball at you and hit you in the head. A nice big
Mm-hmm.
fluffy Nerf ball. Is that going to hurt you very much?
Probably not.
Okay. But Chris, and I get that little baseball and I throw it at you, hit you. Is that going to
That's
hurt you, Chris?
definitely going to hurt.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what happens. So when they do the LDL, they don't actually measure the different sizes of the LDL. All they do is measure all the LDL. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
the problem. So they're putting
Mm.
you on a statin, and you could be perfectly fine, because you could have big fluffy LDLs and not tiny little LDLs.
Right. Ooh.
Okay, so when you see LDL, they call it LDLC, which is all the LDL, but they do not measure the specific LDL particles, which is called LDLP.
Okay.
And you can see over here that basically they by weight it makes a big difference. There's even better slides. Okay, you know this one, Kristen. Which weighs more, a pound of lead or a pound of feathers?
I think we have the same. They're a pound.
Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
yeah. I mean,
Easy.
if you've got a pound's a pound.
Yeah.
Not all
So
pounds are
again,
created equal,
yeah,
but
there you go. Okay. There's a method. There's a reason I'm asking this.
uh-huh.
Okay, we talked about this before. So we got a pound. We got a pound for a bowling ball, and we got a pound of little BBs. Right? They're the
Mm-hmm.
same. So this
Mm-hmm.
goes back to the LDLC. They're measuring everything. But are they
Mm-hmm.
measuring? Are they measuring the bowling ball? Or are they measuring the little particles? So both of them are weighs the same, but the difference is the density.
Yes. I was gonna say there's a lot more little beads than there are that one ball.
So go back to my analogy. What happens if I drop a 1 pound bowling ball on your head, Kristen?
Yeah, that's gonna hurt.
But what happens if I just drop a whole bunch of BBs on your head?
Right.
Okay, not as much. So
Uh-huh.
it's a different, even though they weigh the same, LDLC, they're very different outcome. Okay, so in fact, what they call it pattern A or pattern B. Easy to remember, Kristen, because pattern B stands for bad, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Bad.
mhm.
So the pattern A, these big fluffy ones, and these are the bad guys, the pattern B. So
Okay.
you and I can have the same exact amount of LDLC total, but have entirely different patterns. Okay, so now we get into one of my favorite word, glycocalyx. Okay,
Okay.
so what happens is with glycocalyx. Remember we talked about the endothelial, which is the lining of the blood cells. The
Uh-huh.
glycocalyx, what it is, it's like Teflon. Remember Teflon on the old pans? So
Yes.
Chris, remember Teflon? And when you had a Teflon pan, which you're not supposed to use, but less, what did it tell you to use? They told you to use a plastic one, right? Because you don't want to scrape it.
Hmm.
But let's say your kids don't listen to you, Kristen, and they use a metal one and they scrape it. What happens? You damage the
Hmm.
Teflon, right?
You're gonna end up with like, well, and you're gonna expose all the Teflon too, right? You're gonna
Yeah.
open those chemicals up. Hmm.
So if you have the Teflon, okay, and you cook an egg on it, it's intact, the egg
Hmm.
slides right off, right?
Right.
But if you've got a scratch, it's going to stick to the base layer. So
Yes.
the base layer is our endothelial cells, and then the Teflon is over it. It's protected.
Okay.
So when
Okay.
it hits it, it just floats right off of it. Okay.
Hmm.
This kind of shows as you get rid of the end of the glycocalyx, uh, the what happens is the cholesterol, the LDL starts sticking to it. There's LDLB. So two people can have the same amount of LDL. Remember the LDLC, the total one? I could have the big fluffy ones, you could have the bad ones, but they're identical. That's what they're looking at. And they put us on a statin even though they don't know this. So when I have a client and they come to me and they say, okay, the doctor wants to put me on a statin. I don't want to go on a statin because there's a lot of side effects. I say, let's have these tests done, okay, before we
Hmm.
go on it. But
Hmm.
I don't recommend statins. So there's better ways of doing it, but you
Yeah.
guys get the idea. Okay, perfect example. We got Jerry and we got Maria. This is the cutoff point where they put you on a statin, Kristen. It's 125. This is the magic number.
Okay.
So you've got Jerry here, and he's got the big fluffy LDLs, okay? And then you go down the line, and it becomes smaller and smaller. You got Maria, even though she has the same amount, she has the same amount of the LDL. She's at very high risk because she's
Hmm.
got the B pattern. Okay, make
Okay.
sense?
Yep.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the HDL, what they call the good cholesterol. In this case, HDL is the good cholesterol.
Mhm.
So again, LDL is incorrectly referred to as the bad cholesterol. That's only if LDL becomes damaged, on what we call it
Mhm.
oxidized, and it winds up getting stuck inside the cell. Okay, so this is what's called oxidation. So what oxidation is, the technical term is loss of electrons. Hopefully it's never happened to you, Kristen.
Right.
So what happens is when the water, okay, hits the metal, okay, and there's
Hmm.
no protection, like the
Hmm.
glycocalyx, there's no protection. That's why they want you to, wax your car, right? The
Hmm.
wax is like the glycocalyx, okay? So but if that wax wears off and the water interacts with the metal, you have
Hmm.
oxidation and the electrons get lost and you get rust. Okay,
Okay.
makes sense. Same
Yep.
thing happens in our arteries. Oxidation is like the rusting. So you're rusting. You wind up rusting your arteries.
Hmm.
Okay, so again, this is the ApoB we talked about, and it causes the problems inside the cell, and it causes the oxidation. And most physicians don't check your ApoB. We talked about they're only looking at the LDLC, the total amount of LDL.
Hmm.
And again, ApoB testing is not yet standard practice among general clinicians.
So for my listeners who might be wondering, can they get that tested? Can they request to have that done, or will they need to do that on their own?
If the doctor doesn't want to test it for some reason, you can email me, philgeorge@charter.net. I have labs that'll test it, and you private paid. It's a lot less expensive.
No.
So I had my dental hygienist come to me a few months ago, and she was freaking out because her doctor, and she was very health conscious, and she says they want to put me on a statin. So I said, in fact, if anybody wants to contact me, philgeorge@charter.net, I'll give you one free consult. I'll look at your lab work. I'm a clinical biochemist. What a clinical biochemist people don't know is my undergrad's in biochemistry, and I also have a degree in clinical biochemistry. So my job was to know about lab tests. I trained medical students on lab tests, how to interpret them, which ones to order. Okay, so that's my wheelhouse. That's my specialty. So, to cut to the chase, one of the best indicators of whether you got problems for atherosclerosis, take your triglyceride, and let's just say if triglyceride's 100, you take your HDL, and let's say that's 50, and you divide the HDL into the triglyceride. That number should be less than 2. If it's less than 2, you're pretty much good to go. Okay. Not medical advice, but this is kind of like a cheat code for this. And this, I'm not the only one saying this. If you want, you can email me. This guy here in the corner, right here, I've got his name, but he's a cardiologist. I get tons of YouTube videos from cardiologists saying this is the magic ratio. So if this looks good, you're pretty much good to go. If your triglycerides are high, in fact, drug companies have been trying for years to come up with a drug to lower triglycerides. They can't find one. I have a natural way to doing that. Again, feel free to email me, philgeorge@charter.net. I can give you different ways to lower your triglycerides and to raise your HDL. Okay, this is what he talked about. Basically, the ideal is triglyceride to HDL ratio. So I'm pointing over here. You want it to be less than 2. That's ideal. Over here it's elevated if it's above 4, and if it's above 6, you're in bad shape. Okay. Okay, now even a greater prediction of heart disease than your lipids is high insulin. And again, one of the problems is very few doctors order what's called a fasting insulin. Insulin will show that you're coming down with problems 10 to 20 years before you actually come down with problems. This is called insulin resistance. Again, insulin resistance shows up 10 to 20 years before you actually come down with diabetes. So the way to explain it, Kristen, you can imagine like railroad tracks, right? They're parallel to one another. So what happens is when you eat sugar, what happens with sugar, you have your pancreas, which technically it's called the beta cells in your pancreas. It releases insulin. Insulin goes up to keep your blood sugar low, right? Goes up and it comes back down. But if you keep eating a lot of high carb meals, what happens is your insulin has to stay up and up and up over and over again. So all of a sudden your insulin is through the roof, but your blood sugar is normal. That's why you want to do a fasting insulin, but very few doctors will order it. In fact, unless they're a functional medicine doctor, they're not going to order. And again, you can get this test done really cheaply. Again, you can email me, philgeorge@charter.net. I can help you get this test done.
Okay.
Here is perfect graph. So normally only doctors order what's called the hemoglobin A1C, which is measure of insulin, blood sugar in your body over a 3-month period or fasting. So 100 is kind of the cutoff number here. And you can see in terms of what's happening is your blood sugar stays normal for about 15 years. See it here at the bottom line, Kristen? Everything. So you see your doctor, everything's hunky-dory. Look at that. You're staying normal. But in the meantime, your insulin's going up and up and up to keep it down where it is. So 15 to 20 years before it spikes and you're diabetic, it's over there. And then all of a sudden your insulin drops because you become insulin resistant, Kristen, and you're burning out the beta cells in your pancreas. You're burning them out. Then you come down with type 2 diabetes because you've never checked to see if your insulin is going up ahead of time. Make sense?
Does. And then you're on meds.
Then you're on meds for the rest of your life. Okay, so another fancy word I like is glycation. Okay, Kristen, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
So you got bacon in the beginning. What is bacon? Is it nice and soft, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yep.
what
Yep.
happens when you cook it, Kristen?
It breaks.
Breaks, gets hard.
Yeah.
That's called glycation. So what glycation is sugar interacting with protein, and it makes the protein, it's called denatured. It denatures it. It
Okay.
changes it, and it makes it hard. Okay, that's glycation. You have what's called advanced glycation end products in your body. So when you're eating a lot of carbs, a lot of sugar, what you're doing is you're cooking your body from the inside out. And what happens, all of your proteins they can't work very well because they're all glycated, okay? And that's
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
problem. So high sugar intake accelerates the formation of harmful AGEs, advanced glycation end products. Okay, it's glycation is linked because remember, you're also remember the your blood cells are made up those endothelial, which is made of protein. You're glycating it. Okay, you're making it so it can't work correctly, and that's causing the oxidation in there, and that's caused the advanced glycation end products. You can see the little thing here where you're breaking up the endothelial cells, and they're getting stuck in there, and that's what causes the arterial sclerosis.
Okay.
Again, don't cook yourself from the inside out.
Yeah, it seems like a good idea not to do that.
And again, this causes the arthritis, the stiffening up here, because you got protein all over your body, and it's not working correctly. It can't move around. It can't be like the bacon, nice and soft and move.
Mm-hmm.
Or a good example is bread, right? Bread in the beginning, you put in the toaster, you glycate it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we talked about the glycation and the Teflon. We talked about this before. Same thing. You're glycating that. Again, so the glycation turns the Teflon into Velcro. Remember Velcro? Things stick to it, right? So you're
Yes.
changing the nice Teflon bouncing off. It gets
Yeah.
all sticky. So then remember the LDL particles, instead of bouncing off, what do, Kristen? They get stuck.
Right.
And again, Kristen, this doesn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one day you wake up with basically all kinds of problems, all kinds of stickiness. It doesn't happen. It's a
Mm-hmm.
long-term process. That's why you want to talk to a medical professional like yourself or myself, and let's see what's going on. Let's stop the problem before you develop it. Now, Kristen, do you think you'd want to fix the problem before it goes off the rails? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and oftentimes when people come to, people like yourself or to me for wellness coaching or health coaching, they've seen their doctor, they've seen their physician, they've got their information. And now when they're coming over here, it's like, okay, let's look for, like you mentioned, the root causes. Let's go back and let's figure out what's your lifestyle look like, and let's look at a holistic approach because I can't prescribe meds. I'm not a doctor. I'm not, a psychiatrist. I'm not any of those things. However, there are things that we can do in the lifestyle space to look at the foundations of your health to figure out, okay, maybe if you make some modifications, what's your movement routine look like? What's your nutritional intake look like? Because there are ways that you can modify things on your own, and you can work in tandem with your medical professional for sure.
Right. So again, but right now, people know it's almost impossible to see a doctor. You got months wait. And again, we get the diagnose and adios. So back to square one,
Mhm.
where they're not looking at lifestyle. They're not looking at
Right.
this stuff. They're just
No, they don't have time.
driving. It's a really, it's not really healthcare. It's disease management, Kristen.
Mhm.
It's
It is.
they're managing the disease.
Mhm.
I don't know about you. I don't want the disease to begin with. I don't want to
No,
manage the disease. I
no.
want to get rid of the disease.
Yes, agreed. Agreed.
Uh, Okay, you like this one. Okay. So a macrophage. Okay, so what happens is this, Kristen. You have in your body something called macrophages. There's what these are. Macro means big, phage means eat, right? So it's these little Pac-Man like things, and they go all over your body. Okay, Kristen, I got a question for you. Have you ever had a wood splinter in your hand?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Was there ever a point in your life where you try to get it out, but part of it was still stuck in there?
And you have to get the tweezers.
Okay. You get the tweezers, but you can't get the whole thing. It's still stuck in
Nope.
there, right?
Yep. Now
Let me
you're
ask
ripping
you a
your
question.
skin.
Now let me ask you a question, Kristen. Is that still stuck in your finger? Is
Yes,
that
if it broke and it's there. However, over time, your body usually pushes it out, or you get fancy and you start putting peroxide and you start coaxing it out.
so? But the bottom line is, Kristen, it's not there anymore, is it?
No.
Okay. You know why? This guy took care of it for you. This
Mm.
macrophage, it recognizes foreign things in your body that are not supposed to be there. So what this guy did, he did you a favor. Thank him,
Mhm.
Kristen.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Microphage.
So it went in there and it said, this doesn't belong here, Kristen. I'm going to
Uh-huh.
get rid of it. Munch, 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 munch. And then all of a sudden it's gone. Okay.
Mm.
That's what the
Okay.
macrophage does. There's another kind of macrophage, and it's called. This sounds like something from a movie. It's the scientific term. The immunological term is called a natural killer cell.
Okay.
That sounds scary, doesn't it?
It does.
These are cells that go and they recognize cancer cells,
Okay.
and they go and they munch up the cancer cell, Kristen.
Okay.
So that's
Wow.
what a macrophage does. Okay.
Hmm.
We talked about the splinter. It goes in there,
Yes.
munch, munch, munch. It's all gone. So what happens is this. So this macrophage, remember, we're starting getting this buildup inside our arteries, right?
Hmm.
And this macrophage says, this doesn't belong in there. I want to get rid
Hmm.
of it. So you know what the macrophage does, Kristen? It tries to go in there and it tries to munch up all of the crap inside of your arteries. It tries
Okay.
to, it takes it away. But Kristen, you're not a good girl. You keep eating
Hmm.
crappy food and you keep up
Hmm.
building up more and more. And all
Hmm.
of a sudden, the macrophage, the good macrophage, it gets stuck in your arteries, Kristen. It gets stuck in there.
Mm.
It can't
Okay.
get it can't get loose. It's stuck. It gets stuck in that Velcro. It can't get
Huh?
loose. It's turned into something called a foamy macrophage or called a foam cell. So your
Okay.
this hero gets stuck in there and it can't get loose. Okay. What that causes now more and more clogging of your arteries. You see what I'm
Okay.
saying? This is
Hmm.
a progressive disease.
Hmm.
Whoop. So again, the macrophage ingests the oxidized LDL. Remember the LDL that's stuck in there. It becomes what's called the foam cell, and it starts releasing more debris. It becomes the arterial plaque. So he's nice and happy. See him, Kristen?
Yeah,
Nice and
he is.
happy. And then he's munch, munch, munch. He
Yep.
gets too fat, Kristen, and he
Yep.
dies.
Oh man.
Okay.
Oh, that's the story of life right there.
So you've got your carotid arteries.
Huh?
And what happens is this feeds your brain, feeds your heart, goes back and forth, and then you start getting this accumulation of all this plaque and everything else. And then one day, Kristen, you wake up and you've got a stroke, and your brain's dead, and you can't get oxygen in your brain. You have a heart attack because you got the clotting. This doesn't happen overnight. I've got a sponsor of my show. He's a vascular surgeon, and actually, I had this done. And you can look up. You can find a vascular surgeon and tell them you want a carotid ultrasound done. What they do is they put a little thing over here, doesn't hurt, and they say you got this much occlusion, you got this much clotting. That's the best way, and it's not that expensive. You can even private pay it, but most doctors you can get this covered by insurance. There's something
Okay.
else called a carotid ultrasound score done, but this is this is a pretty good way of having an idea of what's going on. There is my friend. Okay, so Dr. Eddie Roos, Vascular Care Group. He's one of the largest vascular care groups, and this is from my radio show. If you want, you can email me. I've done a whole thing with him in terms of the carotids.
Excellent. Awesome.
Here's what it looks like. Okay, carotid
Okay.
ultrasound. You go over
Uh-huh.
there. See, you can see right here, Kristen. See, got a little bit of blockage here.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
I I suggest, and funny because when the VA hired me, one of the executive directors, he was scared to death of having a stroke, And told his kids, he said, look it, he says, if I have a stroke, there's my gun, put a bullet in my head. I don't want to live like this. Okay, I don't want to be a vegetable.
Mm.
So, they went to the VA and he said, look, I want to have a carotid ultrasound done. I want a carotid calcium score done. They said, you don't have any symptoms, so we're not going to do it. He got a family history of it, and he's scared to death of having this done.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I found, Kristen, I don't know what your clients, the number one fear people have when they get older is not cancer or heart attack. It's they're losing their minds. They become a stroke. They become a burden on their families.
Right.
Because what differentiates us from, you heard the expression, you become a vegetable, because your brain's not working anymore. You're just there. Yeah. You can't deal with it. So you want to know you're getting good blood flow to your brain and to your heart. You want to know what's going on with that. And there's a lot of different tests for that. So this is a good one to have done. In fact, if you live in New England, you can email me. I'll send a note to Dr. Roos, and I can get you in there, and he can find a way of getting it paid by insurance. But I think if it's not paid, they have a special deal for my listeners. I think it's less than $100. It's worth it.
Okay.
Get it done, see what's going on, and then see me or see somebody and have a lifestyle modification done, so we can. And there are ways to clear this up. And again, there's a lot of ways to do it. Just so I have an idea, how much time we have left, Kristen?
We have about 10 minutes.
Okay.
I know, Phil, we could go on and on for days. These are intense topics.
So, okay, Kristen, you have any idea what are some of the signs of a stroke?
So there could be, numbness going on in the body. You may experience feeling just out of like there's, oh, gosh, and it's often, I think, missed because it mimics so many other things. But there could be like feeling really weird or feeling pressure in the head. What am I
Yep.
missing?
Yep. Sudden weakness on the face.
Yeah.
And unexpected severe headaches, confusion, this kind of
Oh
stuff.
yeah, the drooping of the face. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's another one. Yeah.
Heart attack.
Yeah, everybody always says it's the left arm, and all of a sudden you're feeling the numbness and just feeling pressure and heartburn. Sometimes to say it feels like heartburn. Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't get that. Okay, so how to prevent atherosclerosis. So they talk about statins. Okay, we don't have time to get into this thing, but again, statins. We talked before. It's shown that people have great statins and still have heart attacks. So it's
Right.
my opinion. The other one I like is the only thing they have for this, because they don't have time to sit down with you, Kristen, and say, okay, you eat this, eat that. If the only thing you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So the LDL is high, easy. Here's the statin. Get the heck out of my office. Okay, a little bit of advanced biochemistry here. So mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell, right? So what happens is something called the electron transport chain, and this is what makes ATP, which makes energy, okay? When you take a statin, there's something called CoQ10. It's in the very first part of the complex one of the electron transport chain. The statin messes up CoQ10 and interferes with it. The most complaint I get from people who take statins, I've got a lot of muscle aches. Because what happens, you're not making energy because the statin interferes with the CoQ10. Okay. And unfortunately, when I did the seminar at the senior center, I said, who here is taking a statin? Everybody raised their hand. Who here with their doctor recommended CoQ10? Nobody. So if you're going to take the statin, you're going to take CoQ10, but there's a better form, CoQ10, and it's called I'll get back. It's called ubiquinol.
Okay.
And you want that. And again, you can email me, philgeorge@charter.net. You want to be careful. We get your supplements from a lot of them made in China and India. I have a very good form of this. So you want the ubiquinol. What happens is, again, we talked before where if you're taking statin, you're not making enough ATP. So in order to drive to make ATP, you need electrons. Like, and winds generate the turbines, right, Kristen? If they don't generate the turbines, you get no energy.
Right.
It's the same thing. No electrons, no energy. So what happens is the statins interfere with the electrons, making the energy. That's why you want to substitute. In fact, if hopefully, again, if you email me, philgeorge@charter.net, I can look at your lab work, and hopefully you won't even have to take the statin to begin with.
Yeah.
This gets a little bit weird, but this guy, where the heck is he? Let me see if I can find him. His name is Nick Norowitz. Let me go ahead. Running out of time.
I know it's the story of our life, Phil. We're always running out of time.
Okay.
We have so much to cover, and we're always running out of time.
So this guy Nick Norowitz, he's a PhD out of Oxford University. He's in molecular biology. He's got an MD out of Harvard. So this guy's got a lot of credentials after his name. He came out, and I can send you his YouTube video. He came out and he said ahead of time, he called it clickbait. I'm going to do an experiment, and I'm going to, and he had very high LDL, by the way, very high LDL.
Okay.
And he said, I'm going to do an experiment where I'm going to eat a box of Oreo cookies every day to lower my LDL. And then I'm going to do another study where I take statins to lower my LDL. And I predict that the Oreo cookies are going to outperform the statin to lower my LDL. He actually did it. And this was published in journals, okay? Because what happened, and he knew, again, he's a doctor, biochemist. He knows, like me, he knows the mechanism of action of how these things happen. So what he found out was, and indeed, the Oreo cookies lowered the LDL more than the statin did. So is he saying eat Oreo cookies? No. He's not saying that.
No.
But they don't understand.
He's trying to prove a point.
They don't understand the mechanism of action. So how much time we got left? 5 minutes?
3 minutes.
Okay. Anyway, I get the rest of this. If people want to email me, philgeorge@charter.net, what I do with a lot of clients, I can do this with them. I'll go over the whole slides with them. Anything. I've got a slide presentation for everything. And what's the expression, Kristen? A picture's worth 1,000 words. This makes a lot more sense. You know, you can see what's happening with the studies and everything else. So a lot of times with a client, I give them a mini course in biochemistry at the same time. So
I love it.
It's
knowledge is power.
It's not just believe what I'm telling you. Okay, it's basically this is where it is. You understand. It's kind of like a how-to book for your body. It's how does your body work? How does your body work, and everything else. So again, I've got all kinds of presentations on this. What I can do, and people want to come in, I even it remotely. I could do a presentation like a Zoom thing for let's say a business, and they want to show their employees, keep their employees healthy. I do that remotely. I'll do a presentation. They can put them on the screen during lunchtime. If you want your employees to be healthy, make them healthy, and we can do that type of stuff. So I do seminars for businesses remotely. I can do seminars for anybody remotely, or I can do it in person if you're in New England.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Phil, for covering this today. We covered a lot on heart health, and I love that you're wrapping us up here with, there's no medication that's going to replace, and you list some of these things: the consistent movement, natural light, real food, sleep, physical effort, discomfort, responsibility. Like, you touch on some key areas. And I think one of the things that I picked up as you were talking is, and you didn't say this explicitly, but I gathered this: it's never too late to change some lifestyle habits. Yes, some things may be hard to reverse, but there are ways that our listeners can take action to stop the progression of some of the stuff from happening, but then also to mitigate and try to undo a little bit of it.
Right. Never too late.
Yeah. Oh, all right, Phil. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And again, can you just give your contact information for our listeners one more time?
Real easy. Same as my name, philgeorge@charter.net, PHILGEORGE @charter, CHARTER.net.
Perfect. Thank you. So for our listeners, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of the Surviving the Human Experience podcast. And until next time, be well and stay blessed.